What's up, folks? This is Addy Ads, and this is an Assange Watch update for the Julian Assange podcast, which I recently started to kind of collate my reporting on Julian Assange and everything that's been going on there. Uh, Once again, I'm unable to stream on Twitter, which I pointed out as a interesting coincidence, given the fact that my Twitter has blown up recently, as I have been covering the trial in New York City at the Southern District of New York courthouse for Miss Maxwell. Switching gears here, covering Assange, I wanted to show a few quick clips of not just Stella Morris, but Niels Meltzer as well, and then give you the full update there afterwards. But I do want to plug my Venmo, Buy Me a Coffee, Cash App, PayPal, Patreon, etc. In the links below. Even if you can just give $1 or $2, that would be much appreciated. I was making the point that I have almost 20,000 followers now on Twitter, which is fantastic. If all of them were to simply give me $1, I would have an actual salary. If you support independent media like myself, please consider doing that. But want to show the video of Stella Morris because I think understanding the not just the content but how it's delivered and how it's affecting his family emotionally is important.
11 years. For how long can this go on? Today is International Human Rights Day. What a shame. How cynical. To have this decision on this day, to have one of the foremost publisher, journalist of the past 50 years in a UK prison, accused of publishing the truth about war crimes, about CIA kill teams.
So obviously very
and in fact, every time we have a hearing, we know more about the abusive nature, the criminal nature of this case. Julian exposed the crimes of CIA torturers, of CIA killers, and now we know that those CIA killers were planning to kill him too. How can these courts approve an extradition request under these conditions?
So I just wanted to show that, but getting into the update, and then we'll go over actually a CIA agent who's been getting a little bit of shine on Twitter thanks to well-known journalists there. But Stella Morris, his fiance, is blaming the extreme stress caused by the U.S. extradition battle as a cause for the stroke. Assange is now 50 years old. He's been held on remand in the max security jail at HMP Belmarsh, and this mini stroke actually happened at the time of a high court appearance on the 27th of October via video link, and he was left with a drooping right eyelid, memory problems, and signs of neurological damage. A transient ischemic attack, whereby there's an interruption of the blood supply to the brain, can be a warning sign of a full stroke. Assange has since had an MRI and is now on anti-stroke medication. Ms. Morris said, Julian is struggling, and I fear this mini stroke could be a precursor to a more major attack. It compounds their fears about his ability to survive the longer this long legal battle goes on. And he does have a very young son named Gabriel, and I wanted to bring that up. But really an unfortunate turn of events. I reported on this pretty quickly after it happened yesterday, or I'm sorry, it was on the 10th, I believe, right outside the courthouse. But she said it urgently needs to be resolved. Look at animals trapped in cages in a zoo. It cuts their life short. That's what's happening to Julian. The never-ending court cases are extremely stressful mentally. He's being kept for long periods of time in his cell, being short of fresh air and sunlight, inadequate diet, and stimulus that he needs. Again, the major setback came on Friday, and the High Court overturned a judgment made this year preventing extradition to the United States to face charges under the United States Espionage Act enacted in the wake of World War I. His lawyers had successfully argued he'd be kept in conditions in the U.S. that could lead to a serious risk of suicide. The High Court reversed this ruling after the U.S. government offered assurances about his potential imprisonment. Stella Morris said, "I believe this constant chess game, battle after battle, the extreme stress is what caused Julian's stroke on October 27th. He was feeling really unwell, far too ill to follow the hearing, and he was excused by the judge but could not leave the prison video room. It must have been horrendous hearing a high court appeal in which you can't participate, which is discussing your mental health and your risk of suicide, and in which the U.S. is arguing you're making it all up. He had to sit through all this when he should have been excused. He was truly in a terrible state. His eyes were out of sync, his right eyelid would not close, and his memory was blurry. He was found to have a delayed pupil response when examined by a doctor, which is a sign of potential nerve damage. Again, he has two sons, Gabriel, 4, and Max, 2 years old. He's been engaged for 5 years. She said he had more or less recovered, but fears the attack is indicative that his health is failing. She visited him for about an hour just yesterday, taking the children to see him in a prison hall shared by dozens of inmates and loved ones. He finds the prospect of a third Christmas in prison difficult. The United States wants Assange to face allegations of conspiracy to obtain and disclose national defense information after WikiLeaks published hundreds of thousands of leaked documents related to the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. He has until the 23rd of December to appeal against last week's judgment and could face many months, potentially years, on remand in the United Kingdom. Morris said it remains an outrage that someone who is not serving a prison sentence should be held in prison for years on end. Julian is not a threat to anyone, and it is a complete disregard to his individual liberty and our right to a family life. The U.S. plays dirty every step of the way. It's a war of attrition. We can see from the fact that he has suffered a mini stroke that this is having a dangerous impact on him. A spokesman for the Ministry of Justice would not comment on the prisoner. Surprise, surprise there. But I do want to talk a little bit CIA stuff here. But before we get to that, I wanted to show the special rapporteur on torture for the United Nations, Niels Meltzer, making a comment on what the status is here. And then I'll go over comments in the chat box.
And now what we see again is that essentially he's not able to stand trial. I mean, he's, for those moments that he has been present, on that screen, as Angela, I mean, I'm very glad she described it in so much detail, because it shows us, I mean, how can you discuss whether this man can be extradited to, detention conditions that are known to be humane and cruel if he can't even attend his own court hearing over video link? I mean, he clearly is not in a medical state where he can be extradited. And all of this really is not the question. As I've said before on this show and on others, the question is, why is he in prison in the first place? Why are we even discussing an extradition to a country that doesn't prosecute torturers, that does not prosecute war criminals, that grants impunity to people who murder civilians, and to persecute only those people that expose crimes, witnesses to the most serious crimes recognized by the world community? They're being persecuted.
So again, that was Niels Meltzer, and he was just doing what journalists do, says Larry. I agree, Larry. I want to talk about this guy pretty much a lifelong spook. His name is John Cipher, former CIA clandestine service. Looks like your classic CIA sociopath, possible psychopath. And he's a member of the Atlantic Council. Wow, look at that. And the reason I'm bringing up this guy, this clown, is because, well, not only the fact that he glows in the dark, but Glenn Greenwald made comment on him saying, make sure you guys can see this, now the Atlantic Council, which of course helps big tech censor the internet, hates Julian Assange and wants him to rot in prison. Cipher, like so many security state goons, which is what he is, he's a goon, became a big liberal social media stars in the Trump years, which again, that's a whole nother story in and of itself. But Cipher responded to Mr. Wisner of the ACLU, who made a short clip commenting on the Assange ruling, saying, Cipher did, freedom to manipulate weak people into breaking the law, freedom to work with intelligence services of brutal, corrupt states. That's what he's trying to argue, that this guy is arguing for, this guy for the ACLU. So I wanted to bring that up as well. That's, the CIA is just, they're not really even hiding it, what their thoughts are on this. And of course, Morris mentioned the CIA killers, murderers, torturers, who are above the law. The CIA is. They are above the law. It's unjust to say the least. But that's something I believe I misreported. So you're gonna have to forgive me for that. I forgot when I did the quick video report outside the courthouse the other day. I believe I reported that the extradition was imminent, but again, that appeal can be made until the 23rd of this month. So I will still be here. As I mentioned, I'm here in New York. I'm covering the Maxwell trial. If people want to help out with expenses, as I mentioned, $1 or $2 would really go a long way to do that. If you want to buy me a coffee, the link is in the description box below, as well as Venmo, PayPal, Patreon, and then my other video channels, and then my Substack as well for my shorter write-ups. So quick update on Assange, not a good one, obviously, but we're going to see where it develops and go from there. So stay frosty, folks. We'll see everybody next time.